Hey guys, today we're going to look at our first bat rep featuring the new Druze Bayram sectorial. Druze Bayram sectorial, is that it? Druze? And they're going to be up against the Nomads. We'll play a classic Supremacy mission, which hasn't really changed in ITS 9, so there is that. And yeah, we'll just get straight into it. I'm going to use the same list that I wrote in that video you watched of me recently discussing the faction. So let's just briefly go back over it. Put my face down in the corner. Saito Dagan, the specialist, want to take him at all times. Valeria Gromos, because I'm running the Clipper and the Sierra and all of the Pathfinders, she's just really excellent for assisted fire. Another good Willpower 14 specialist, but also the pitcher backup. Triple Brawlers, two of them can be the Lieutenant decoys, basically, and the MSV Sniper, which is actually the one going in the link. Druze, combi rifle pitches are pretty awesome. Killer hacking device, Druze with the pitcher is really awesome. The link team and the light grenade launcher just in case. Then they link up with basically Valeria and the Clipper. So it's Druze, Clipper, Valeria, and one brawler. Basher Bazook, just to do some attacking with if nobody else can really get a lot done in the opening turn. Sarah Dronbot, just because I've got no other really powerful HMG in the list, and Group 2. The Pathfinders for button pressing, Camille's for auto generation, Warcore just because I had a spare 3 points, and Hunzakut just because it's a very cheap, efficient specialist and starts right next to where they are, and in some cases allows you to actually get a little bit of work done with the shotgun. But we'll jump straight into it. We'll have a decent talk about the game and what actually occurred. Okay, so let's get out a nice go with a green color. So this is the battlefield. There are effectively the quadrants, as you guys know, in Supremacy, where you've got to basically pick up like more zones than your opponent picked up. In this one, though, we've got the the objectives in each particular zone, so they're around here somewhere. The image doesn't really show them very well, but sometimes you'll play this mission and it's a bit of a standoff. Neither side will get a advantage in terms of winning more quadrants, so you can break the tie by picking up the consoles, and it even allows you to destroy the consoles after you've pressed the button to get ahead if you've got a lot of anti-material. So just doing a bit of an overview. What color am I going to choose? We'll have a look at in this in a bit more detail, but I've effectively got the TR bot over here, and I've got the link team around here. So Druze with the EM, Druze Killer Hacker, and the Brawler MSV guy there, Valeria there, and the Clipper here. So that's where the link team is situated. I've also got the baggage bot here, another baggage bot here, both Pathfinders on the side. The other Brawler, the potential the Lieutenant over here, but the real Lieutenant is this model right here, and Warcore over here. So it's just a little bit heavy on this side. There's the Hunzakut on the right here, and the left, sorry, and also the HVT. But I know you can't see things too well at this particular resolution, so we'll go in a little bit more closely. So just zooming in a bit on the left-hand flank. Hunzakut is over here on the left-hand side. That's HVT. We've got the TR bot just hanging out along the left-hand flank. This is the Druze with EM. This is the Brawler with the multi-sniper, represented by Celestial Guard. Camille, the baggage bot. The Druze Killer Hacker through here, Valeria, represented by Miranda Ashcroft, and of course the Clipper, represented by a missile chicken bot. Okay, so that's looking right. A bit more of a zoom in, so again you can see where they're positioned. This is the Lieutenant model here, basically a Brawler, and everybody else in the link. So again, Druze EM Grenade, Brawler MSV Sniper, Baggage Bot, Killer Hacker, who happens to be the link leader, Clipper, and Valeria there, and of course the Hunzakut way up here, HVT here, so I'm sure you guys can see where everything is. Right hand side, a bit of a closer look. Warcore, Brawler, Pathfinder, and Baggage Bot. So yeah, that's how the deployment goes. He's decided to deploy a see, basically I'm going second, so he's picking tableside, and I have to deploy first, of course. He's deployed a Krakot with 2 submachine guns. Now, I didn't really want him running down the side of the table and gunning down 3 remotes, which he could quite easily do with his chain, his mines, chest mines, and killing my little brawler here, severely crippling my order pool. The result of that would have been that I would have had to have moved in a couple of different directions. If we actually zoom out and go back to the starting photo, what that would indicate here is that if he moves his Krakot along the side and kills all of these models here, then what I'd have to do is actually, with my entire army here, I'd have to move in this direction to actually take zones, but I'd actually have to move over here to recapture as well, and it would be a lot of effort. It'd be a lot of orders, and I wouldn't have that many orders after losing all these models here. So to defend against that, I decided to actually deploy Saito Togan back in my deployment zone behind cover to AOO against this Krakot as it moves out with Impetuous, because I'd expect them to do that. The other really good thing here is that I know that he's got an SMG, so I know that as he moves forward, he'll be -3 for range, -3 for cover, -6 for TO camo, and he won't be able to hit. So he's not going to be able to crit me or anything. So that's the benefit of actually using Saito's combi rifle in this particular case. Elsewhere, though, he's got the Krakot we saw. We've got this camo marker here, which is actually a Killer Hacker 0. He's got a Moira, Reverend Moira healer. There's the Interventor with the basic, the Hacking Device Plus, of course, the Moran here with his 2 Koalas. Cyclone Spitfire with the Climbing Plus at the back. On the right-hand side, he's got another camo marker here. Can't remember what this guy was, but he's got an Intruder, Multi-Sniper, and the Helper Bot of the Reverend Doctor there. So he's actually running a 10-order list. He's got a Drop Trooper off the table. His reserve model is a Kariza Borzak with HMG. It also turns out to be the Lieutenant later on, so that's quite interesting. Does a lot of damage. So as predicted, he's moving his Krakot in this direction towards the nearest model, which happened to be my remotes in the bottom right. And Saito, represented by the Onewaban, appears and fires his combi rifle. We've also got a Warcore here, which also is arrowing too. So this results in Saito missing and the Warcore hitting the Krakot and failing to blind him. Or did it blind him? I can't quite remember. Anyway, he did decide not to continue moving on. He rolled Metachemistry, got Dogged and Total Immunity, which would have made him even better at coming through and crippling me, but if he gets blinded by the Warcore, it's not really worth it. So what he decides to do instead is move out around here with his Cyclone and, of course, adding assisted fire with the Interventor in order to go on a bit of a rampage. So after a few orders, he's moved himself and dug into position here, and his plan is obviously just to shoot around here and try not to get hit by a crit by the TR bot. Then he's going to be able to sweep through and actually hit some of the members of the Link team and so on and so forth. So initially, just does some shots off against the TR bot. Note that he has to be very careful to position himself here and not come past this particular dotted line, because he doesn't want to get hit by the close-range shotgun from the Hunzagut, which could be bad for him in terms of odds. So here he is shooting up against the... Oh, just got to hit the actual right frame. Okay, so you can see what's going on here, can't you? There's the Spitfire there, just having a bit of shootout with our TR bot here. He's got assisted fire, I don't, and he's staying out of range of the Hunzagut. So this does result in me losing the TR bot. He does outroll me here, don't get any crits, the TR bot goes down and I don't have an engineer. What he's doing here is we're holding the Spitfire in a way that you can actually use Climbing Plus to move up the wall and still remain very carefully out of sight of the Hunzagut, who's just sort of down here somewhere underneath the cover of the wall and prone. So this allows him just to do some shooting in at the baggage bot. There is a Druze behind the baggage bot, but the Druze is prone, so he'd actually have to completely remove that baggage bot, even through its levels of unconscious, to be able to keep shooting. After that, though, so he's wiped out the TR bot, he's wiped out the baggage bot, and now continues moving up on top of the building. His plan here is to actually just creep over the edge of the parapet and then sort of move back to his position and lob a repeater to this point here, because his plan is to actually start messing my hackers up with his killer hacker. Now that's dangerous, right? If he does succeed in getting the picture, and if he does attack my Druze with his killer hacker with a red rum or something, well, if he's unlucky and wins the face-to-face roll, then I can use his picture to attack his Interventor with my killer hacker. So it's not really ideal, is it? Anyway, he does actually have to sort of have a bit of a shootout at long range against my Warcore all the way across the other side of the table, so he's running out of orders. Does ultimately put down a repeater though, and he's happy to. So what we're looking at here, excuse me, is, in fact, I'll just draw what's going on here. So the bot is on the top of that building. There's a Warcore down here. If he does move out to the edge, the Warcore does get to see over there. So Flash Pulse against a long-range Spitfire, but the Spitfire triumphs there, and I'm losing the Warcore as well. What does happen, though, is he puts the pitcher successfully on the top of the building, but basically running out of orders at this point. So, what I can do is activate my Killer Hacker and just go straight for his Interventor. But that's a bad idea because he would arrow with his Killer Hacker and the Interventor at the same time, and I'd have to break out of the link, otherwise he can actually just use one of his hackers to kill a Valeria, who's also on the link, who'd be activated along with the Druze. So what I'm doing instead is I'm moving the Lieutenant with the Lieutenant order up the staircase to here, and just shooting his combi rifle point blank. Brawlers have light shotguns though, so using the light shotgun here to remove the repeater, and that's going to actually, ironically, allow me to use my own pitcher to send that across the battlefield. And even though it might seem like it's the same thing, it's not. If I shoot a pitcher next to his Interventor isn't a Killer Hacker, so he'll be up against a firewall if we're using my repeater for the shenanigans. Also, if I fire the repeater over to his side of the table, his Killer Hacker won't be able to interact with my Druze as I actually go straight after his Interventor. So that's that. In the meantime, also putting assisted fire on our little Pathfinder who moves around the corner and shoots at the Krakot. Assisted fire was a mistake here because he's got total immunity. He won't be affected by shock, but after this happens, the Krakot guts back behind the wall and nothing even happens because he passes his armor saves. You can even see here the Pathfinder moving out. I'm just doing Group 2's orders first before I move on to the Druze. So just continuing to shoot at him. The Krakot just hides away here, and the Pathfinder eventually moves over to the objective to press the button. But more importantly, the Pathfinder will be dominating that zone, and because I'm going second, I need to dominate more zones and trying to get a leg up to win the game. So what's happening now is we're moving to Group 1, and the Link team is moving out. So Druze moving out over here, Sniper moving out over here, Clipper moving up through here, Druze Killer Hacker moving through here, and Valeria moving up to this corner. So that's everybody, and we're shooting a pitcher with the Druze Killer Hacker across the battlefield. The X-Visor really helps for using the pitcher, by the way, guys, so that's really an excellent thing in this sectorial. I'd really recommend running the Druze Killer Hacker. So we successfully managed to land a repeater around about here because the Druze shoots all the way over to this point here, and there's an Interventor hanging out behind that box over there. So once that's done, I can now start going after the Interventor. Now the Interventors aren't particularly easy targets because they have BTS 9 and they start with Whip 15. Now he goes after me with a Sucker Punch, so that's -3 to me. So let's add it up. I'm Ballistic Skill 13. Sorry, I'm Willpower 13 with the Druze, going down to 10 with Sucker Punch -3 on 2 dice with Red Rum. He's -3 for the repeater, -3 for the Red Rum stat, so he comes down to 9s. So I'm rolling 2 dice on 10s, he's rolling 1 dice on 9. If I win, he's trying to beat damage 16, but he's adding BTS 9. So he needs to roll an 8 plus a 9, I believe. So 8's more, but he has to roll 2 armor saves every time, or BTS saves every time that happens. So I'm pretty comfortably in the lead for that. But not by a lot. Not by a lot. Luckily, my attempt to do this resulted in a crit, which takes him out straight away and bypasses the need for him to, pass BTS saves. So the Druze doing pretty well in this spot. I am quite worried though, because he's still got that Cyclone on the building, and I can't really do too much about that, except maybe fire my Spec Grenade, EM Grenade Launcher up there. So you can see what's happened. I'll move my face out of the way, and you can see over there that that's the position of the pitcher. The Interventor is over here, but is now dead, counting on it being his lieutenant, but it turns out it's not the lieutenant. But we've still got a few more orders to go. So there's his Interventor there getting handily removed by the Druze Killer Hacker. So using another order to safely bring my lieutenant back down here, because I really don't want to lose my lieutenant. That would really probably cost me the game. So there he is there. The Clipper has moved up to a bit more of a stable position where he's got some good lanes of fire with his missile launcher. We might be able to put assisted fire onto him later. Now, I did want to move around the corner with my Hunzerkut because that will get me into yet another zone where I can get a huge point advantage at the beginning of the game. But there's a crazy koala. So we're deploying with the airborne deployment parachutist from the Bashi Bazook. We've got a holo here, so the crazy koala will just move over here and bash this holo echo, and then I'll be safe to move out. So that's the strategy. And then what we can do here is move along with the Bashi Bazook, fire the rifle. This is a rifle light shotgun at the Moran, and that's going to close off this crazy koala as well. So this was a successful 3 dice versus 1 shootout, and the Bashi Bazook does triumph here, allowing me to also bring the Hunzerkut round the corner. So end of game round 1, I have not successfully pressed the button with my Pathfinder because I failed the whip check, but I've got additional points for having more sections controlled because I've got my 2 local ones plus the one on his flank on my left. So I've taken a lead in this game, but his lieutenant is alive, and it turns out to be the Kriza Borzak. So he's jumping in here with his the awesome power of his fatality, or whatever he's got there, a full auto. Clipper is in the distance with a full link team bonus, but it's basically 5 dice versus 2, and I'm in a -3. So the HMG destroys the Clipper John bot in this instance. What he's also able to do, and the picture will not sort of show this very much so I can explain what's going on, is that there's a box here, and the Kriza is silhouette 5, so he's actually slightly taller than the box, and there's a bit of a gap through the alleyway. So what's happening is he's shooting at the rest of the link team. So shooting at the multi-sniper, shooting at the Druze. They're both firing back at him, don't successfully manage to damage him. I lose the sniper rifle straight away, but the Druze passes an armor save and Guts is prone back behind this wall. So already 2 kills for the Kriza. He's now able to make that a 3rd kill by moving around here and getting hit by a flash pulse, but then opening up his gun and wiping out the Pathfinder as well. So successfully killing a 3rd model with this Super Rambo guy here. So there you can see it, shooting through the alleyway and getting rid of the Pathfinder. Also, these guys who successfully netted a big wad of points, and that's really what's worth it, are now sitting ducks against the Spitfire. He can't get assisted fire anymore, but he doesn't need it. So first order, moving to the wall, shooting at the Bashi Bazook. The Hunzerkut decides to stay put, and then he discovers me and shoots the Hunzerkut as well. I did consider breaking camo and actually shooting back with both the Bashi Bazook and the Hunzerkut's rifles at the same time. But all he does there is he splits burst. He's very likely to actually win both face-to-face rolls and kill both models. So by remaining in camo with the Hunzerkut, I at least forced him to use a minimum of two orders to do this. And there's a small possibility he fails his discover check, meaning that the Hunzerkut survives. So all in all, I felt like that was the better sacrifice to make. But he kills these models as well. So that's 5 models dead already. And looking to be more, but this happens. So he moves down the wall. The Druze is prone behind the HVT. I can't remember whether HVTs block line of sight or not. We played it that they don't. That they do block line of sight. I can't remember whether that's accurate, but I'm not sure. The robot moves over here and actually has a shootout with the Druze ultimately, so it didn't really matter. He managed to get past the HVT. And what happens, though, is the Druze actually wins the face-to-face roll with his viral pistol, which is awesome. You don't see those pistols very much. So the Spitfire against the Druze, yeah, just basically rolled a 12 or something like that, and he missed with everything else, and the Druze actually takes him out. So that was very fortunate. I was expecting to lose yet another model here, but he's managed to make it through, and that's fortunate because now I don't have to get rid of a very expensive model in my sector. Okay, so what he's doing now also is moving out with his camera marker to the objective, and the Kriza Borzak just moving forward into the middle of the table. He's going to set up suppression fire just to put a lot of pressure on me for the next turn. So this is just showing him repositioning his intruder. So we've put a 3 next to the Kriza just to show how many times he can fire in the reactive turn. He's got his suppression fire going on. Okay, so the plan is to go over there and kill his lieutenant with Saito, because if I could do that it's going to result in a big advantage. He's got a Reverend over here, but Saito just moving around here, dropping some smoke, getting out of range. He needs a 1 to hit anyway, so luckily he didn't crit me. So what I can do now is use some coordinated orders to move around the corner with Saito and some bots, because I want to move them into the zone. So Saito moves around. I've used all of my coordinated orders, so these guys have moved up into the zone, hopefully. Saito starts here, goes back into Teokama mode and walks around here. And immediately, he's attempting to discover me with the Kriza and also the Zero, not pictured, both attempting to discover me. Now, because he can't shoot at me and discover at the same time, I decided to lob a smoke grenade out there, because that will allow me to move forward into combat with the Kriza and kill him. If I fail the smoke roll, well then I'm just sitting there and I just get shot at by both guys, which is not really ideal. Luckily though, needing a 16 to pass, he rolls exactly a 16 and gets a critical smoke. So Saito is able to now move directly and to hit the spot here. Unfortunately though, there's too much of a gap. I couldn't have put the cloud a little bit closer because it might have been outside of the 8-inch short range for lobbing the smoke. So he is going to get shot at by the Kriza and this guy over here, which is not wonderful. The problematic thing is that as Saito moves into combat, he can shoot back at me with his pistol, and full auto, I think, means that I'm -3 with my attacks. The Zero gets a free shot at me as well, and when I rolled my martial arts level 4 at him, I rolled like a 2 and a 5, so all he has to do there is just beat me. And thankfully, he rolls extremely high and misses completely, and gets hit by like 6 armor saves and is destroyed. So let's talk through that. I got a little bit lucky to do the smoke. I got a little bit unlucky to roll very low rolls with my actual attacks, but he got a little bit unlucky to roll very high with his roll. So realistically though, 16 or less, he's going to get the smoke off, right? That's very likely. Realistically, he's probably going to roll like 1 high roll, 1 low roll, or something equivalent to that with his sword. I should have actually gone camo first before moving into combat to kill him. But by saving that additional order, I was also able to move the Pathfinder drone bot up after lobbing the smoke and pressing another button. So that was something which moved me way ahead. But given that I'm ahead anyway on the scenario, the safer tournament play would have been here to actually go into camo marker first, go in, surprise attack him, and because that would have subtracted 6 to his dice roll means that it's much less that he could actually block some or all of my dice rolls with his pistol shot. As it happened though, Kriza dies and the combo rifle from the Zero misses and it puts me way ahead in the game. And you can see here the Pathfinder moving in, pressing the button successfully, and happy days. So in his follow-up turn, Krakop moving around, blasting this Camille with his double SMGs. He's then able to move around and actually have a go at the Pathfinder, although the Pathfinder does end up passing its armor save. Carlotta Kowalski, whatever her name is, appears in my deployment zone, right by my deployment zone, out of range of the Druze, who's moved over to here, and shoots him in the back with her combo rifle successfully. This is a problem because now Carlotta is going to be able to move around and try and kill my lieutenant, but ends up running out of orders. He's spending all of his command tokens, turning irregular model orders into regular orders because he's lost the lieutenant, just trying to move Carlotta around here and eliminate my lieutenant, but he doesn't manage to do that. So in my final turn, I can actually move my lieutenant in, and it took me 3 orders, but I managed to shoot him with the shotgun here, the 2 rolls, and I eventually managed to destroy her, and it's quite important that I did that because she was actually securing the HVT, so I wanted to remove that. Elsewhere, I've got another brawler which tries to shoot the Krakot, but with his dogged and total immunity did end up being quite tough. Other than that though, basically Valeria climbing down from the building, getting shot at for free by the Zero, who misses, and Valeria moving over to secure yet another console. So at the end of the game, it's basically, there were 2 game rounds during which I got more sectors, so that gives me a huge wad of points, plus a couple of bonus points for 2 consoles. Didn't manage to get his HVT, so I think it's like 8-0 or 6-0 at the end. So first game with Druze. Probably won't play too many games with Druze because I think they're a very weak sectorial. Probably one of the weakest, if not the weakest faction in the game at the moment. But I managed to make it work with these guys thanks to some good rolling from Saito and some pretty staunch resistance from key members. Alright guys, hope you guys enjoyed this first Druze Bayram security sectorial, and we'll see you again soon with an Onyx versus LF bat rep coming pretty shortly.